Hey, Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears.
Hi, everybody, and welcome into this week's Sic Em Podcast, presented by HD Waco. Let's check in on Baylor baseball this week. It's a guy that has led the Bears in hitting all season long. Travis Sanders is with us. Yeah. Welcome to you.
Yeah,
welcome to the Sic Em Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me in.
Appreciate it. You got a great year going. How do you feel about it?
I'm blessed. This is the first year I've got to play a full season and feel great. It's my fourth year in college now, so it's kind of curious to say this is my first actual season playing all 50, however many games. But body's feeling good and just ready to finish out the season with a strong note and see where we end up.
Very good. You are, coming into this year, you moved from second base to shortstop. Yeah. You're team captain, voted by your teammates. Yeah. You're kind of the guy coming in. I mean, was this a different year, sort of the build up to this season for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Going in from last year, played second base, didn't start at the beginning of the year, and then got the opportunity to play. Mm-hmm. Playing second base has always been home for me, or not home, but I've always played second base up the middle. And just, jumping into the flesh with all these other guys, returners, and not knowing the Baylor way, I guess you would say, and coming in and kind of getting my foot in the door and figuring out the way and figuring out the guys, the culture and the coaches and just everything in general. And, finished on a good note last year and then, decided I was going to come back and knew that I was going to be taking that leadership role, losing a lot of guys last year that were in those leadership roles and, took those open arms and haven't looked back since. And, jumping over the shortstop is, that's where I've played my whole life since I can just remember, and I don't mind playing second base. As long as I get to play, I'm grateful for that. But, jumping over the shortstop back in the roots and, it took a little bit to get used to it. It's a tough position, but it is. Went in there and just, picked up where I left off. So it's fun.
Last year, I remember you weren't starting originally.
Yes, sir.
And maybe it was the Kansas series. You
Correct.
got put in the lineup, and man, they couldn't get you out after that, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I sprinkled in the lineup here and there before, and I believe we opened up Big 12 with Kansas last year on the road.
That's right, yeah.
And I didn't play that Friday night. And I remember I got the opportunity to play on Saturday, and I remember telling myself, I was like, once I get in, I'm not coming out. And happened to be that way. So since that day on a Saturday in Kansas, I remember I got in the lineup starting at second base, and I told myself, it's like, I'm not coming out after this, and the rest is history.
That's the way it's happened.
So that's kind of how it went, and I'm just grateful for every opportunity I got to play. And now we kind of made our way and made our home and kind of made our name for ourselves. So it's been nice.
Absolutely. Last year, so you were at second for the most part. Tyree Kemp was here playing short. You two were a really good tandem up the middle.
Man, I mean, words don't even describe how talented that player is. I love Tyreek. I still talk to him on a daily basis. He's over there playing for the Royals now. So it's cool to keep up with him. But when I came in the first day, it was actually, let's backtrack a little bit. When I was at Tech, we played here at Baylor. And I remember watching them play and, take in and out and just go about their work. And you just look out there and you see a little, he's 5'8", 5'9".
He's not big.
You know what I mean? And you see him, you're like, oh, that guy, catches your eye. You see him, he can hit, he can field, he can't really do anything that anyone else can do as that size. And, and then I was like, okay, I got to come to Baylor first day of practice. I'm out there on the field with them. I'm like, man, this guy can ball.
Yeah.
And so it was cool. It's a good little internal competition that we had with each other. And, we always told each other, it don't matter, I'll play short, you play second, vice versa. So it was always cool connection between us. And, anyways, got in there, got to play with them, and it was awesome. It's pretty easy on me whenever you know that you have a guy over there on the other side of the diamond that is the same versatile as you, and they can do basically anything you can do. And so that was cool last year. And then this year, got over the shortstop, and he got to come over before he went to spring training for 2 weeks or so.
Right.
And so we flipped it a little bit. He was over there playing second, I played short. We take some reps, so that was cool to feel it, get to fill it out again. But no, Tyree Kemp, man, that guy's he's a special player, and he'll be probably playing for a long time. So shout out to him.
You were he's in the pros now.
Yeah.
You'd like to play in the pros,
Absolutely.
I'm sure. You were drafted out of high school,
Correct.
14th
Yes,
round by the Red Sox. What was that decision like where you ultimately chose college instead of the pros?
Yeah, so, man, that was a while ago. But so in high school, got drafted 14th round by the Red Sox. It was awesome. It was a blessing. It was an opportunity that I, never really saw coming. And I was, was kind of shocked. I was an 18-year-old guy, I was going to Texas Tech out of high school, and you get a call from the Red Sox like, hey, we're drafting you. That's pretty. Not every 18-year-old gets to do that,
right.
And so I had there's like a little grace period. I think there's 2 weeks, 3 weeks to make your decision. I prayed about it, talked to family, talked to coaches for the Red Sox, talked to Tech coaches, and we just prayed about it. And our final decision was like, hey, I want to go to college and play a college career, and get my opportunity here in 3 years. Which it wasn't 3 years because I had an injury at Tech, but fourth year at college, and here we are. So hopefully, here in a couple months or a month or so, we'll get the opportunity to, fulfill that dream again.
You're going to get another call.
Yes, sir. Hopefully.
That's true. And going back to high school, I don't think we mentioned this. You're from the area, Central Texas area, from Copperas Cove. Sir. What was that like?
Yeah. So it's always a joke with me and my family. Growing up, RG3 was was the guy. My dad coached him in football. Nice. And so RG3, you always heard that growing up, and of course, you come to Baylor, you see RG3 over the place. So it was pretty cool. I don't know. There's a lot of people back home that kind of refer you as RG3. You know what I mean? And so, but we always came to Waco. If not driving through, we'd always come to Baylor games. And then just to get the opportunity to come to Baylor was outstanding, and it just kind of fulfilled the dream. Just being here at home. Like you said, it's Copperas Cove, so it's an hour right down 35, right. 2 turns, and you're there. Right. But, just you always heard Baylor when you were a kid. Just if it wasn't RG3, it was something other than I don't even know. There's never anything bad about Baylor.
That's good.
Just the community, the people, what they believe in, and honestly their success as well. It's a pretty successful university. So growing up, it was a lot of Baylor.
And your high school coach was who?
Baseball. It was weird. I've had 3 different high school coaches. Okay. So my freshman year, we had a guy named Bob Macy. Okay. And then he retired, or I think he moved on. And then we had our assistant coach. His name was Bryant Lopez, which, short story, Jim Blair, our
That's
third
where
base.
I was going.
Yes. So Jim Blair, our third base coach, it's his sister is married to Bryant.
His brother-in-law.
So his brother-in-law.
Coach Blair's brother-in-law.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was kind of crazy. I remember I came on my visit, and we were sitting in the office, and he was like, so you know Bryant Lopez? I was like, yeah, I know Bryant Lopez. He was like, he's married to my sister. I was like, oh, okay. So I got to tie the knots there. But yeah. And that would have been my sophomore year. That was the COVID year. So we didn't really get to play a season. And then he came back for our junior year. And then he moved on to Braswell up in Dallas. Okay. And then we got another guy named Daniel Carrillo as my senior year. And now he's at Bastrop. So I had 3 different coaches in 4 years. So it was a lot of different. Yes, sir. It was a lot of different moving pieces, but grateful for all those guys. Got good information from all of them, and got a piece of their mind about baseball. And I'm grateful for all of them. So
great. When you went to Tech out of high school, and when you were thinking about transferring, put your name in the portal. Absolutely. What was that like for you?
I knew I wanted to stay in the Big 12. I didn't want to go somewhere bigger because I wanted the opportunity to play. At that point, this was going in it would have been my junior year, but eligibility-wise, my sophomore year. I haven't played in 2 years. The last time I played was in high school. I just wanted the opportunity to play. And so that's kind of where my mind was. And I knew, I had opportunities to go play other places, but I really wanted to stay in the Big 12. And I had, Baylor reached out. Coach Dillon reached out day one. Had some other schools as well. I think Kansas and West Virginia, they also reached out. And then some other schools like Texas State and, in the Sun Belt and, Sam Houston, whatever, Conference USA maybe. Okay. But I knew I wanted to stay in the Big 12. And, Coach Dillon reached out and we talked. And I talked to Coach Thompson. I talked to Furr. I talked to everybody at the time. And at the time, we didn't have a pitching coach, so we didn't really talk to a pitching coach. Also, I'm not a pitcher, but got to talk to them, and I think I talked for a week. And then after that week, I was like, the Baylor's my home. I wanted to stay in Texas, close to home. My parents loved it. My mom was like, yeah, you should really encourage in Baylor. I get to see you probably 4 times a week, if not more. And there's nothing I didn't have any problem without going to Baylor. And made the decision, got here last year, and haven't looked back since. So
that's great. It's
been a blessing, and I love every second of it.
That's worked out well. You're in the right place here.
Absolutely.
And can we just say, when you play against Tech,
yeah.
I'm sure you're highly motivated, but you can kind of tear up Tech every opportunity.
Yeah, there's a little bit edge on that.
Gotcha. Right.
Just how any former, I feel like any former player would play against their former team. I really didn't get the opportunity to play up in Lubbock. I think I had probably 20 at-bats in 2 years. Obviously, my freshman year, I got redshirted because of an injury. But I didn't really get to show them what I had. And I guess you get to say the past 2 years, I've got to show them what I was capable of. So
right.
It put a little chip on your shoulder when you get to see that opposing team in the other dugout. So.
Very cool. What about, to me, you're such a smooth player. I mean,
Absolutely.
Everything you do is smooth. Your swing, the way you play shortstop, defensively, everything about that. How would you scout yourself, or kind of rank your abilities?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of weird because I've always been that way, and everyone's always told me, "Hey, you kind of look like you don't care, or like you're playing carelessly." And I just kind of laugh at it internally because I'm like, "Man, I don't try to do that, but it kind of happens." It's just I think I've just played with such a high confidence where I really don't have to rush, or I don't really panic. I don't freak out. Like you can talk to Coach Jim Blair, and he'll be like, "Man, this guy the moment's never too big. Even like the bigger the moment, the less like emotion he shows, and the more he wants to be in that spot." So I think I've always loved the big moments. I always like being in the spotlight, and I think that's why we play sports, right? For those opportunities. I mean, it keeps it interesting and fun. But no, I try to make it not too big. It's the game I've played since I was, I can remember 6 years old. I'm just now a little older, and there's obviously better competition and higher level. But I mean, I just kind of keep it as simple as it is. It's a game of baseball. You got to hit the ball, you got to throw the ball, you got to field the ball, And so if I accomplish those, it's pretty easy. But the way I play, it's just kind of have a little swagger. It's just the way you carry yourself, just like anything you do, if you're confident in it, you're gonna show it. So I try not to think too much of it. I don't really try to plan anything. It just kind of happens if it happens. And if anything, just give a smile and turn to the next page.
It's very natural. I mean,
absolutely.
It is your game, and it's very natural. And you've got that confidence,
absolutely,
that shows through. You're the leadoff guy for the most part. You like being in that leadoff spot?
So I hit leadoff in high school.
Okay.
I think 2 years, it would have been my freshman year and then the COVID year. So 1.5 years. And then I got moved down to 2 or 3 and those other years. But I like the leadoff spot. Last year I started in the bottom lineup, and then I got to the 2-hole. I ended up in the 2-hole last year. And I think I started in the 2 this year, and then went down to the 4. And then I remember I told Coach Thompson, I was like, "Hey, can I hit leadoff? I want to set the tone." We don't have the production we had last year, or the big bats. We're more of a different. We have a different identity in the offense. We're more speed and everything, and and I was like, I feel like that leadoff spot is where I need to be and set the tone. Might as well, when we go play an opponent and they see the leadoff batter and they're, it's one of our better hitters, and they can't take any strikes or any pitches off, and it gives them adversity since pitch one, and it set the tone. Coach Thompson always said the leadoff guy needs to get on and set the tone. And I was like, hey, I can do that every time. So let's do it. And, I like the leadoff spot. My job is to get on base and score runs for our team. And thank God we have a guy named Tice Armstrong hitting in the 4-hole that loves hitting home runs and RBIs. So it's pretty cool to be on base when half the time he's up there at the plate. But, my job is just to get on base and score. So I don't really try to do too much. I just kind of, see some pitches and, try to give that confidence to the other guys in the lineup, being a veteran guy in the lineup and with all the younger guys we have in there, just to, show them like, hey, we got him, and if I go out there and I get a good AB or lead off the game with a good AB, I feel like it just gives that much more confidence to the other 8 guys in the lineup.
So you went to Coach Thompson and asked to be put in the leadoff spot?
Kind of, but yeah.
Or just in a conversation?
Yeah, it was just kind of this like, we did like what do you want to, like, it was like a lineup deal. Okay. He was like, what do you think the lineup should be? Okay. And I was like, hey, like, it was before the year, and I was like, I want to hit leadoff. And then that was before the season started. And then I think 3 weeks into the season, I was like, hey, I think I need to hit leadoff. And he was like, all right, let's do it. And then we, he put me in the leadoff spot. And I remember I was like, hey, I'm hitting leadoff again. Let's go. Like kind of went back to high school days. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Haven't looked back since. And, I enjoy it. It's the top of the lineup. So we just get it turned over and here we are. And then go all the way back down the lineup and turn it over again. So.
And your skill set is, I think, perfect for that leadoff spot. Not to mention when you get on base, you're the stolen base leader. Yeah. And this team is on a school record pace for stolen bases this year.
We need to finish that out.
I mean, that's a big part of this team's game, isn't it?
It is. We don't have a lot of power. Let me rephrase. We have a lot of power, but as everyone knows, playing at Baylor Ballpark is a different beast. And so we just play to our advantages. We're an athletic team. We're young. We're fast. We can bunt. We can hit and run. We can put a lot of pressure on the defense. And the way we do that is on the bases, first and thirds. I remember earlier in the season, we ran a first and third play and Janisek stole home. That was pretty cool. And as you said, we're going for the title on stolen bases.
Right.
And so it's just the amount of pressure you put on the offense. And I can go on and on about, the stealing bases, like for instance, a guy gets on and it's like, I have to pitch this guy and, you're thinking about a runner at first base.
That's right.
You're not thinking about your execution of the pitch, and then you leave something over the middle of the plate and it gets hit, or if a guy's at third base and, put a ball in the dirt, you can't, it's a chance that we're going to score. So there's a lot of pressure on those pitchers, even though some people don't get to see it sometimes, but as a baseball player, kind of like just the feel of it all. So just being athletic and, aggressive team, it puts a lot of pressure on the other team that regardless of, we don't really hit a lot of home runs except for ties, but we do steal a lot of bases and we do put a lot of pressure on the defense and the pitchers as well.
Good. So you're at the top of the lineup, you're stolen base leader, you're playing great defense, and then you're a leader also because
Absolutely.
You talked about the new guys, Janisek, the new guys, the freshmen and the transfers.
Absolutely.
You're kind of the old hand here, even though you hadn't been here that long,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. So I think we lost. I don't even remember how many people we lost, but I know we lost all of our captains last year. And so, me, Pearson, JJ, Ty Johnson, I believe we're the only returners out of the lineup. And so it's kind of like, Ty Johnson's the only one guy that's been here more than 2 years. Me, Pearson, and JJ were all newcomers as well last year. And so, well, we also kind of knew that, the way of how Baylor was and how we ran our program. And so, at the beginning of each year, we make a captain selection that's our player elected and have the opportunity to be that guy. And, just being a captain, just giving that leadway to those younger guys. There's always new guys. It doesn't have to be freshmen. It could be the transfers that maybe are older than you, but they don't know the ways of Baylor and how we do it around here. So just giving that guidance and that just being there for those guys, honestly, too, because, it's a new place for those guys, just as I was last year. And I know how I felt coming in the last year, and I knew guys here, Right. And so just being that brother and that friend and being everything to those guys, it just means the world to me.
That captain position for you, it means a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just being the leader. It's just like we go to battle every day. Every time we go to play an opponent, and just knowing that I'm up there at the top, leading these guys, and they have to go through me to get to those guys. It just kind of puts a little chip on your shoulder, a little edge, and knowing that you have to protect your guys and lead the way. So it's just like anything else, though, and I don't think too much of it. It just kind of happens naturally, and I just kind of lead by example, if that makes any sense.
Last summer, you were part of that home run derby down in Round Rock. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was an experience. I'll tell you what. I didn't really expect it. I was out in the Cape, playing. I was playing out in the Cape, and I got a call from Coach Dillon. He was like, "Hey, I got this opportunity for you if you would want to do it." And I was like, "What you got?" He said, "There's this home run derby X," and I was like, "Never heard of it.
Right.
Tell me about it." And he was like, "Hey, it's some. I don't really know either." And so he's like, "I need to forward you this guy." I got on the phone with him, and man, it was a blessing. It was down there at Round Rock,
right.
So it was close to home. Got a lot of family come out, and it was a deal where it was it was a lot of MLB X players.
Right.
They called it X players. It was
right.
MLB X. It was the idea of it was to get veterans, or I guess you should say veterans, all-stars. There's a lot. I mean, there's a bunch of big names there, but older guys, guys that played pro ball, and then get softball players as well. And then I was the only college guy, and there was a high school guy. So it's kind of everybody in a circle, from different aspects. So there's an ex-pro on each team. There's a softball player, and these softball players, I think there's a couple girls from Texas, A&M, and then the girl that was on our team, her name was Elizabeth, and she was a coach at UTA, but she used to play at Florida State. So she was a big name in the softball world. And then obviously I was there, so I was a college guy. And then there was a number one player in the 26 class, maybe. He was going to Texas. His name was Grady. But yeah, so they put us all on a team. And we went out there, did this home run derby X. It was kind of a modified home run derby. Right. We're hitting kind of from third base area on a stage out to right field, and they had all these double points and confetti and confetti shooters and smoke everywhere. Wow. It was a cool deal. Got the opportunity to be on the not the Red Sox, the Astros, which was my partner was Josh Reddick. So he was pretty cool to be a part of. And it was me, him, and Elizabeth Mason, I believe her name was. Okay. And then, I mean, there's other big time names. Manny Ramirez was there. Adrian Gonzalez, Hunter Pence, Nick Swisher. Who else was there? Todd Frazier, Kevin Minch, Kevin Millar. Wow. I mean, it was on and on and on. And there's just other guys there just being around with those guys because they like being around all those, big league names. And we get to go to a dinner. And I remember sitting there at dinner. We went to this nice steakhouse, and I was just sitting there. I didn't say a word. I was just kind of just taking in the moment. I mean, they were talking about clubhouse memories and on the road and winning World Series and everything you could ever think of. And I was just kind of like a little 8-year-old at a candy shop, just like, and I was like, this is pretty sick. And just to hear these guys talk about their careers and, and it was pretty cool to listen to them, because you never really thought they were like talking about like how big leaguers would talk, like, oh, I'm a big guy or whatever. They're just kind of having a normal conversation as we are. And it was like, I was like, this is real. Like, this is like real life. These guys aren't like some, which you get to see. Everyone kind of thinks of, oh, they try to be a big leaguer or whatever. But I was like, this is outstanding. And I mean, those guys gave me a lot of advice, and I had open arms. They were like, a couple of them gave me their numbers. Like, hey, if you have any questions or anything, like reach out to me and we can help out. So it was a blessing for sure. But no, there was a bunch of fans there too. Yeah. I think there's over 10,000 maybe. The whole bottom bowl of Round Rock was all full. And it was one of those nights I'll always remember. And they had fireworks and everything, but it was kind of I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of surreal. That's a great experience. Yeah, it was honestly surreal. Yeah. And I got to do that this summer, and that's kind of what I did this summer. I left the Cape. I remember getting the call from Dill, and he was like, "Hey, but this thing's like on the 17th of this month," and I was like, well, I got to get back. So I got back, and I trained for like a week or two maybe, and then I went out there and just kind of did my thing. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I just went out there and just hit the baseball and got to watch it fly. So that was pretty cool.
What do you like to do away from baseball?
Yeah.
Any hobbies, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love spending time with my family. I'm a big family guy, and me being back home, basically, I would say I call this home. I mean, I'm in the 254, back Copperscove is the 254. So I get to go home a lot and see my family. That's awesome. Spending time with my family is probably the number one. Besides that, just being in the outdoors. I love being in the outdoors to kind of always grown up in the outdoors. Me and my dad, been hunting since I can remember. That was how I got potty trained. It'll take it back a little bit. I wanted to go hunting and I wasn't potty trained. And my dad said, well, if you want to go hunting, you need to get potty trained. And I remember that day I was potty trained. Yeah, motivation. Yeah. Yep. So I was potty trained that night, actually. I think he went that morning and I wanted to go that morning. I couldn't go. And he said, if you're potty trained, you can go. And I believe that evening I was potty trained and I was ready to go. So that was pretty sick. Hunting, fishing, anything like that. Spending time with my friends, my family, my friends, and honestly, anything to do with athletics. I love being, outside. I just don't like being inside. More of a outdoors guy. Anything I can get my hands on, I'd love to try. And if I don't succeed, like, who cares? I'll move on to the next one. But usually I'm pretty versatile and I can kind of get my hands around it and figure it out. But anything to do with sports as well. I love watching games. I love competing. I think everything I do is kind of like a competitive mindset. And so it doesn't matter what it is. But besides that, just kind of baseball, family, friends, outdoors, just trying to keep it small and simple. But I also do like traveling. I like seeing new places, which is kind of weird because I don't really get to travel much, but I say that because we travel every weekend, honestly.
That's true.
So it's kind of built in. I kind of forget about it sometimes because we're always traveling on the road, seeing new places, and I've done it my whole life, going back to like summer ball when I was a kid. So I also do like traveling, but it's kind of built into baseball. So it's pretty easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for you. Well, you're having a great year. We appreciate it. It's great to visit with you.
Yeah.
Hope things finish up well. Sir. And we're going to watch you like Tyreek. We're going to watch you in the majors at some point down the road.
Absolutely. That's the plan.
Great to visit with you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thanks very much. Travis Sanders with Baylor Baseball, our guest this week on the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson Waco.